There it is, all in the back of my truck. Axle, coil springs, all of it. Time for the new solid axle swap project. All right, so we're after that upper shock mount, that coil spring isolator, and that coil spring. So I'm going to start showing, a lot more of the nitty-gritty steps on this next solid axle swap build. On the last one, I really only, showed kind of the bigger things, and turns out that, a lot of you wanted to see a lot more of the, the nitty-gritty, getting things ready, and the, little tiny nuts and bolts minutia of the swap. So I'll be working on showing you a lot more of those things as well. So that's what this video is, like literally just all the steps of the process. You may have recalled this video here, just following every tiny step of the process from buying the vehicle to getting it solid axle swapped. I hear a lot when people are trying to get ready to do the swap that they're having a hard time finding an axle, and I don't know why that's so hard, but all I normally do is pick up the phone and just call the auto wrecking yards around me, the full service yards first, not the self-service, picking poles and tear aparts. Because frankly, my time's more valuable to me than to spend it rolling around in a junkyard pulling an axle most of the time. So I had found a really good candidate of an axle. I talked about it in a previous video. And there was a guy local who's also doing this swap. And I actually told him where it was so he could go get it. So then I had to find another one. And I didn't even have to look that hard. Called another wrecking yard, they had one. So this wrecking yard was called Roland Auto Wrecking. Now, they didn't have the whole rest of the truck. They just had the axle sitting on the shelf. Roland Auto Wrecking. Let's go get a front axle. So basically, I just got the axle from them, but I still needed to go get the upper shock mounts and the coil springs. Those are things that we use from the wrecking yard along with other parts. So I had to go to a U-Pull-It junkyard and pull those parts myself. At first, I almost walked right past this one because, with no front end on it, I saw the door with the 3rd, 4th gen Ram on the side. Thought this was newer than it was, but then I went, wait a minute. It's a Dana 44. So this is what I'm going to pull. Alright, so we're after that upper shock mount, that coil spring isolator, and that coil spring. Looks like that one's already broke free pretty good. That's pretty sweet. I'm gonna pull the wheels off so that you can drop the axle further down and get the springs out. I actually forgot my 3/4 or 19mm deep socket. So I'm gonna have to do this with a wrench, which is okay because it's not fighting me at all. Normally you have to see these 2 flats cut in that shock. You got to grab it with a pair of vice grips or a small wrench and hold it so it stops the shock shaft from twisting. Oh, there it goes. Let's hold it and out. Spoke too soon. I'm gonna hold the top of that stud with a pair of vice grips and use an open end wrench to loosen it up. Baby. Come on. Hopefully this axle will drop when it gets the shock unloaded. Ow.
Hey, look, and it's free. Yeah, there it goes. Perfect. This has got some kind of a spacer lift on it. I don't know if I want it. They might charge me. If it's free, I'll take it. Because what you really need is this standard bolting ring that bolts under here, which is missing now. But definitely that.
So, you know, and the springs and the upper shock mounts and the bolting rings that hold the upper shock mounts on. So there's a bolting ring that goes through here that holds the upper shock mount on. Those things can come from basically any 1994 to 01 Dodge Ram 1500. And the upper shock mounts technically could actually even come from a 2500 or a 3500 because it's just a metal piece that bolts on right there. Plus, there are companies that make this part here, which are actually a fabricated part that you can order that instead of using a stud style with a captured bushing, for the upper shock mounting, they actually convert it to an eye-to-eye style shock. And so you could actually order that and then use a more common, you know, like eyelet style shock. Now, there's a reason why the tahoverlanding coil mounts have 2 sets of 3 bolt holes. And the reason for that is that they are there for this way, and then they're 90 degrees off. So if you do use those eyelet conversion shock mounts, you can actually rotate it the other way if you wanted and have the eyelet go either longitudinally or transversely, whichever way you feel. I personally think that it needs to go transversely, but there's some people that think it needs to go longitudinally. And so for those who want to do that, it's actually already pre-built into these. If you've ever wondered why there's 2 sets of holes, that's actually why.
Now, if possible, you want to collapse the shock to get it all the way down so you can get the spring out. Oh, this one's got, see how that's got some air gas to it? You see how it's got some spring back to it? It's not fully collapsed. See if I let off, it'll come back up so it's not blown. Here's the solution to that, but it'll make oil go everywhere. There it goes. Go. Repeat on the other side. We'll see how much they want for this spacer lid. If it's cheap enough, I'll take it. There it is, all in the back of my truck. Axle, coil springs, all of it. Junkyard filth. Hey look, got it home. Getting ready to swap it all in.
I've talked about it in a lot of other videos, but I'll bring it up in this video. The reason why you need a 2000 or 2001 Dodge Ram 1500 Dana 44 is all in the knuckle. The 2000-2001 Dodge Ram knuckle has the brake caliper mounting set up for the correct diameter of brake rotor as the GMT 800 brake rotor. So when you put a GMT hub, or unit bearing, whatever you want to call it, on the Dodge knuckle, which it bolts on there perfectly. Okay, it has the same 3 bolts and the same inner spline, which allows you to keep factory 6-lug configuration while still having ABS sensors and full ABS function as well. When you put that on there, and then you use a GMT 800 brake rotor, the way the caliper attaches, not only is it the correct diameter for the GMT 800 brake rotor, but it's got the correct attachment that we are able to space the whole caliper over 575 thousandths to line up the brake caliper centered on the GMT 800 brake rotor when we're doing that. The 94 to 99 knuckles have a big cast-on caliper mounting that can't be adjusted, and it's for the wrong diameter. So they just don't work. And so that's why it has to be from those 2 years. Tahoe Overlanding offers that brake caliper spacer kit as part of the Tahoverlandingaxleswap fabrication parts bundle. So when you get all the parts, it comes as part of that kit. And that allows you to use factory 6-lug bolt pattern and factory compatible wheels. If you look at other axle swaps that use the old style Dana 44s with the old style manual hub knuckles, you can't run, compatible modern style wheels on those knuckles because they have this big fat hub that won't fit through the hole of modern style wheels. So any wheel that fits your GMT will fit with this swap. So that's awesome. Also, you may remember from this video here that unit bearings are actually better than manual hubs. So it's kind of a win-win going that route. So now you see I've got the front axle housing, the springs, the shock mounts, and I've gone and picked myself up some of the other parts I'm going to need, that, like the universal link mounts that we use for the cross member, some universal bushing assemblies. Here's the inner sleeve, the 2 bushing halves, and the outer sleeve. So things like that. I'm just getting the parts together now because it's going to be time for that Tahoe to go under the knife soon, and then we can make some more in-depth videos on some things that we didn't cover as well in the last build. Thanks for watching.